I believe by now you know me, you know who is speaking to you. I'm Dr. Sandra Izichukwu. I'm a doctor of philosophy in materials engineering and an immigration consultant working towards my certification in Canada. However, what you do not know is that I did my Master of Engineering and PhD under Commonwealth Scholarship. So, I am well informed to speak on scholarship and funding. Right, here we go. Today's topic is tips on applying for scholarship and funding. We're going to be looking at scholarships, type of scholarship, where to find scholarship. This is very important because people struggle. There are a lot of information out there, but you can easily miss them out. So we're going to look at where to find scholarship, basic scholarship requirements, common scholarships, examples of common scholarships, what you look out for, tips for applying for scholarship. That's the most important one. So I'll advise everybody to just take your time and give us like 15 minutes. We do not intend to talk more than 15 minutes, right? And then we'll address your questions. So start preparing your questions. Our media person and our team is here taking your questions now, so that it's a lot easier for us not to miss out anybody's question. Once again, thank you. So what's scholarship? Scholarship is an award or funding provided to a student that does not require repayment. Scholarship may provide waiving of tuition fee or fees for accommodation, or a combination of the both. It depends on the type of scholarship. There are common types of scholarship. There are scholarships that are based on merit. There are scholarships that are based on needs. Scholarship based on merit are academics and other ability, right? Like a Fulbright scholarship. Need-based scholarships are those scholarships that are mostly grants or for development. Scholarship mostly for development of Africa or development of a sector, right? There are student-specific, which is based on the gender of a student. Like an example would be scholarship for women in engineering or male in nursing. It's just to encourage the sex to enter into that section. There are race-based, there are religion-based. Then there are career-specific, which is mostly awarded to students to pursue a specific field of study as a college-specific scholarship or funding offered by individual college or university to qualified students. Now let's look at some common scholarship that African students will go for. There are shared scholarship. Shared scholarship means shared between two countries, maybe shared between your country and another country for the development of each country, right? Example is Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. There is a development country scholarship, like a developing country scholarship, like for most African countries. So when you want to look for international scholarship that will take you out of Africa, is mostly developing country scholarship, right? There is other type of scholarship and funding, which is for masters and PhD research funding, right? Remember that I emphasize on research-based studies, right? So this funding and scholarship are mostly for research, to encourage students to go into research. Then looking beyond that, there is a tuition-free schools. If you don't want to go for the option of funding or scholarship, these tuition-free schools are mostly based in Europe. But bear in mind that when they are tuition-free schools, you have to provide your health insurance, your travel insurance, your accommodation and feeding. So that's why it's not like a full scholarship when it comes to these tuition-free schools, right? Then moving on to basic criteria. What are the basic criteria? What are the criteria required for scholarship or funding? Academic merit, financial needs, diversity and inclusion, right? Skills or a combination of any of these criteria. Then when we move forward to basic requirement. What are the basic requirements for scholarship? Remember, these are basic requirements. It does not necessarily mean that it is all the requirements any scholarship or funding will need, but they are basic requirements, things that you can see common in any funding or requirement, which is your excellent academic result, your CV, which reflects on work experience and acquired skill. There is something I want to emphasize on excellent academic result, because I got a lot of questions. I'll address it later in this talk, but there are a lot of questions about people saying excellent academic result. What of 2-2? Your tutu will be there, but there will be other things, and I advise anybody with tutu to actually go for funding for research programs. It's a lot easier. The competitions are not high, and you stand a high chance, you know, going for such a funding instead of scholarship, right? So then we go to personal statement and research proposal. These are basic requirements. There are things that you need to get prepared if you're interested in a funding or a scholarship. Now we'll move on to where we'll find this scholarship for international students. We are concentrating on international students because a lot of us are from Africa, and my intention for starting this program is to help those from Africa, especially my country, Nigeria, because growing up or trying to come abroad under scholarship, I struggled myself finding information. So that's why my seminar or my program or my talk will always focus on Africa or Nigeria, to be specific. Now we go to where to find these scholarships for international students. I'm going to mention it once. If you're not able to pick it up now, you can go to my YouTube channel and then you watch the video and get it. The YouTube channel link will be posted on my social media handles, so you won't miss it. Now we'll start mentioning the schools, the website, sorry. Scholarship for dev.com. The 4 is figurative 4. Then the next one is edu, as in educanada.ca. Another one is worldScholarshipForum.com. Then cscuk.dfid.gov.uk. AfterSchoolAfrica.com. ScholarshipFellow.com. mfat.govt.nz. TopUniversity.com. Scholarship-position.com. I love scholarship-position.com. Like if I'm looking for scholarship, or when I was looking for my scholarship, I was always visiting that website because they have updates. They have updated scholarships. They update their scholarship programs every time. So you want to always check that one. You want that one to be your next Facebook or your next food or whatever you want to make it. Then if you are looking at the option of tuition fee institution in Europe, you want to look at masterportal.com, europe.graduatehotline.com, study.eu. These are the websites where you can find tuition fee institutions in Europe. Moving on to the tips, which is the most important one. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here. I decided to make this talk very short so that we can have time for questions, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time here because this is the main thing that we want to talk about today. Moving on, pre-planning is an essential tool when it comes to succeeding in scholarship and funding applications. If you do not pre-plan yourself, then you do not plan to succeed. I remember that saying that say, he that fails to plan fails to plan to fail. Sorry, he that fails to plan to fail. So if you do not prepare yourself, then you are just preparing to fail, right? So let's look at the first tip. Study and understand the scholarship or funding focus. The second tip is know the scholarship requirement and application window. The third one is prepare a strong personal statement and research proposal. Now let me just lay an emphasis here. Strong personal statement ties back to the first and the second tip I've given you, which is understanding the scholarship or funding focus and understanding the scholarship requirement. If you understand the focus of the scholarship or the requirement of the scholarship, then it will help you in preparing a strong personal statement, in the sense that you would know what they want to see. You would know what they require of a candidate that would get this scholarship. You will work towards it. You will put it in your personal statement. Let me use an example to just illustrate what I'm trying to say. If the scholarship is a scholarship that is focused in agricultural development, right? And you as an individual, you are in the petroleum industry and you want to do a program or a master's to develop yourself within that petroleum industry, maybe say pipeline engineering or something, you see that your interest or your focus is not the same as their focus. applying for that scholarship will be a waste of your time, right? So you need to always consider the focus of that scholarship, not just that the scholarship is open, let me apply for it. Ensure you understand the focus. Ensure that the focus aligns with your focus. Ensure that your personal statement places emphasis on their focus as it aligns to your own focus. Then requirement. It could be a scholarship or funding that requires development. You know, like most African scholarship or Commonwealth scholarship in my case, it was for development of Africa and upliftment of women in Africa, right? So when you want to write, in my case, what I wrote was, I remember after writing everything about myself and my goal, I remember my personal goal and my intention to help develop Africa, right? I wrote in my personal statement that as a woman coming from Africa and from engineering sector, that I would intend to gain my knowledge, then transfer it back to the next generation, so that it's a lot easier for the next generation to pick up without struggling like I did, to encourage women in Africa to enter into engineering, right? That was what I wrote. I said, how do I want to do that? By hosting talk shows and live shows and seminar to encourage the youth, to teach the youth how to go about this. It was the main reason, is one of my main reasons. It has always been in my spirit to do this thing I'm doing today. And I stated it in my scholarship funding, in my scholarship application, sorry, right? It helped me because they realized that, yes, Sandra is going to develop herself, but with the skills and knowledge she will acquire, she will be able to transfer it to another. I'm not going to hoard it. That's what they want to see. Because if it's development, they want to train you, or they want to develop you so that in turn you will help develop your people back home. Now, this would need to reflect in your personal statement, because if you do not state it then the scholarship team or committee that will decide on the scholarship would know your intention. They would know what you intend to do at the end of the day. Now we'll move on to the next tip. Ensure that you have obtained admission and supervisory team. This ties back to your research proposal, right? When you want to apply for scholarship or funding, they want to know that that research proposal or that research questions that you planned or you're saying that you want to do is doable. There are lots of things that could hinder a research, right? Facility is one thing. Availability of equipment is another thing. Availability of intellectual mind is another thing. So when you submit your proposal to them without having a supervisory team, they'll be struggling to justify the possibility of that happening. Bear in mind that most of these people that are in this scholarship team or team that will select who would go, most of them are not in your field of studies. Most of them are in different field of studies. Even in some application, they will tell you that some of these people in the panel are not knowledgeable of the field. So try to bring your knowledge or try to explain to them what you're going to do. You will convince them if you already have a research team. For example, in my own case, what I did first was finding out the windows for the application, finding out the type of scholarship I want to apply for. Then I started writing to professors for admission to work with them, telling them my intentions, my research intentions. And I mentioned in my personal statement letter to the lecturers that I'm interested in going for Commonwealth scholarship if I'm able to work with them. Immediately I got my supervisory team. The university gave me admission, right? And I worked with my supervisory team to modify my research proposal. When I meant modify, it didn't mean that my research proposal didn't make any sense, but there were things that needed to go off my personal proposal, and there were things that needed to be added to make it feasible, to make it doable, right? You don't know that. You're coming from the academic background or you're coming from the research intent background, but these guys are in the industry, in the research industry. They've done things similar to what you want to do. So they know what is doable, they know limitations you will meet. See, that's where it's very important. It puts you on top of the list when it comes to scholarship or funding if you already have your admission and a team available to supervise you. We move on to the next one, which is once you're ready, you apply before the window opens. Don't wait for the window. Don't say, the application will start on Monday, then I have Saturday or Friday to start preparing for my documentation. Listen, when you start doing that, you'll be wasting yourself, your time, your precious time. Maybe by the time you're done, the window is closed. Maybe by the time you're done, 20 or 100 people that are qualified had gone in front of you. What happens? But if you're ready, like me, I was ready. Believe you, my personal statement was ready 3 months before the application window opened. And once the application window opened, I submitted my application within 24 hours from that time, right? So that most people keep asking me, how did you manage to get a scholarship for your master's and then a scholarship for your PhD? That's how I did it. I'm very, very curious. I plan for everything I do. I sometimes plan to drink water. It's funny, but when you make it your daily life, when you make planning your daily life, you would never fail. You will succeed. Like this live talk you're seeing today, it's been on the pipeline since 2009, but it's coming on 2020, over 10 years after, right? That's me. So when you plan to succeed. Moving on to questions, because here is I call it live chat. Last time we spent a lot of time talking that we didn't take enough questions. So this time I made my talks little so that we can take questions from people. So this is now time for your question. If you have your individual question, please ask it now. Do not send me the questions when you have opportunity to ask me now and I'm not able to send it. You'll be feeling bad. A lot has written me on my inbox and said, you're not addressing to us. Please address us. I know that you sent me messages, but it's not only you. I have a lot of messages I need to catch up with. But on live talk, I can pick your questions and answer them. So I'm waiting for any question. But before then, as this question I've been getting on my inbox, like I addressed it the last time, but a lot of people are still asking me that questions. So I need to address it now. The first one is funding and scholarship with tutu. Is it possible? Funding and scholarship with tutu, is it possible? That's Nigerian tutu, right? That's what we're talking about. There is a lot of competition out there. But with tutu, you will stand a chance for funding, or maybe as well as a scholarship. But funding, there is high chances for you. However, it depends on some certain things I will mention now. Your graduating CGP. What is your overall graduating CGP? Right? What is your overall graduating CGP? If it's that CGP that is just from third class to 2-2, I'm sorry, your chances are very slim. But if your CGP is on the high level CGP of 2-2, then there is a fighting chance with the rest of the things I'm mentioning. Previous research, exposure, and publications. You need to justify that you have been exposed to the research industry before, you have done a good research work, and you have done your publication. Sometimes it doesn't need to be a published paper really, just a research on your own. There was something I told a student in the past. He said, but you know, in Nigeria, you know how we do it now, we copy this research, but I think I can do it. I said, pick up a topic, write on it. Write a paper on that topic. Do not publish it, but write a paper. Just pick up something that you're interested in, something that is similar to that thing that you want to do, right? Then write on it. I can remember a student that asked me, and I said, you're interested in the cosmetic industry, right? Why don't you write on the differences in cosmetic industry these days? The student got an admission because of that write-up. The lecturer read it and was like, okay, this is good. I can work with this person. So it's important. It doesn't need to be published, but you need to do something that is evident, right? Then moving on to the next one, relevant skills and work experience. If you have relevant skill in that field you want to go into, you have a chance, right? So you need to mention it in your personal statement and your CV that in as much as you have you have the knowledge required for this. You need to mention it. You need to explain, talk about it. A strong research proposal, which is what I'm talking about now. These are the things that need to go into your research proposal. You need to market yourself properly. Then intellectual curiosity. You need to be curious to succeed in research. You need to want to know, why does the earth go round? You know, you need to want to be like a kid. You know the way the kids, they ask every question about everything, even the ones they think is meaningful or meaningless. You need to have that kind of curiosity, but not being curious to find out what Sandra is wearing under her hair. You know, not that kind of curiosity, but intellectual curiosity. Now, moving on to critical thinking. Do you have critical thinking skills? If you do, where have you exercised it, or where have you used it before? You have to give an example. You don't have to say, I have critical thinking skills. No, you need to give an example where you have used it, or where you developed these critical thinking skills, right? Another one is motivation. This is very important. And in your CV, you don't, or your personal statement, you don't say, I'm motivated to do this because of this and that. No, it's not a composition that we're writing there. You have to state your motivation, where you have endured. You know, in a, maybe at work you have had an issue. Others didn't want to get involved with it because it's very tough, or it's a situation that is not doable, but you endured. That would be an example. You need to give an example of where that skill has been used before, right? For instance, motivation is very important. Me, when I was in the academic industry, right, when I was working with students, I pay attention to motivation. Students with motivation, they may have to, but they are motivated to do things because it's very essential. For me, in my PhD, I remember days that I would be answering a question for a month. I've been working in the lab trying to answer a single research question. At the end of the month, I didn't get anything. I'm telling you, no answer at all. You'll be broken. There are days you will cry. Ask any researcher, they will tell you. There are days you will cry. But the only thing that will see you through is motivation. I want to succeed. I'm going to succeed. I'm picking up myself. That's why it's very essential. Then hard work. Are you hardworking? Don't tell me yes. Tell me how you are hardworking. Tell me where you have shown that skill in your personal statement. Now, the second question is, can I help? Can Dr. Sandra Izichukwu help you in securing a scholarship or not, or in processing for your scholarship? The answer is yes. How can I help? I'll teach you how to apply for your graduate research programs and scholarship. I'll teach you how to apply, but bear in mind that I will not be able to guarantee that you will get it, but I will teach you how to apply. I will teach you the skills. I will work with you. I will work with you to identify graduate research programs that offer funding upon admission. Let me emphasize on funding upon admission. I mentioned it earlier, but I don't think I explained it. Funding upon admission, there are colleges that do funding upon admission actually. It means when you get admission, you are automatically funded. So I will help you identify institutions like that would fund you upon admission. But remember, it is for research programs, for research masters and research PhD. It is not for class-based programs. Now, moving on, I will teach you how to develop your research questions. This is very important. A lecturer wants to read your personal statement and know that you have the ability to develop research questions, because they won't work with you to develop your research questions. It's your research. So the questions should be you to develop it. This is an area that I have strength in. At the moment, I work with some Nigerian lecturers to develop questions for their masters and PhD students, right? So I am very skillful in this area, and I will teach you how to do that. I better will teach you than to do it for you. That's how we transfer the skills. Then I will guide you on writing a qualifying personal statement and research proposal. Remember, I will guide you. So you will do, I will tell you what you need to do more. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, you head off to any of my social media platforms and you indicate there, right? And then we'll take it off from there. So now I will take your questions from viewers. I will go to oh, there are questions that my media team has actually picked up. So I will start from that question, then I will take more. Adobe, okay, can you get it on your YouTube channel after the live chat? Yes, of course, I mentioned it here. You can go to my YouTube channel and get what you've missed. It will be on, okay, no, somebody is answering you already. Thank you. So let me answer this question. How can one learn to write good personal statement and research proposal? That's just what I said now. I can guide you personally, or you can go online. If you want to do it by yourself, You can go online, look at examples of winning personal statement, not just any personal statement. Look at, define your search. Personal statements that have won scholarships before. You can go on and get those personal statements and see how they worded their personal statements, see the information they have on their personal statements, and then it can guide you. Or you can as well contact me via my DM, and then I can guide you doing that. Is there a difference between personal statement, letter of intent, and letter of interest? Personal statement is different from letter of intent and interest. Letter of intent and interest is the one I'm telling you that is your letter of proposal, research proposal, sorry. Your letter of intent, it depends on the school or whomever that is wording it. They could say letter of intent. Intent, what do you intend to do, right? Letter of interest, what is your interest, research interest? So some school will call it letter of interest, some will call it letter of intent, but what it is actually is your research proposal. What do you want to do when you get the admission? What topic do you want to do? What are your interests? What are your interests? What are your research interests? This is the meaning of research proposal. That's what stays in research proposal. So it doesn't matter. It's not different. But personal statement is different. It's like extension of your CV. You know, your CV will give a bullet point, your job experience and all that, and say what you've done in your job. But your personal statement will define it. The experience you got, how you got that experience. So that is a lot that goes into personal statement. Really, let's just not waste time there. We'll move on to how to get funded scholarship in Canadian University. Funded scholarships. It's the same. The skills I've told you now are the skills you need to acquire. How to find the programs. I mentioned some websites there. If you go to the websites, define your search by using the country you're interested in, right? So if you're interested in Canada, search for scholarship or funding in Canada. I hope I got this question that I hope I answered you. How to get funded scholarship in Canada. That's it. And there are Canadian universities, and most Canadian universities, Australian universities, and New Zealand universities actually will do funding upon admission. For instance, I will just give you a tip here. University of Auckland in New Zealand have started their funding upon admission for PhD students. So which means if you get your PhD, you will get funding for that program. But bear in mind that some of them may not be full funding. It might be funding for your research, which means you have to cater for your maintenance fee and your travel fare and your insurance. But for Canadian universities, some of them are funding upon admission, which means if you get your admission, you will get the funding. Thank you. So I'll go online again to and how, yes, full funded scholarship in Canada. I didn't get that question. Must I have a written journal to be able to qualify for a PhD scholarship? Thank you. Obuefi, I tell you, you don't have to have, right, to qualify for a PhD scholarship. But is a strong playing field for you, really. There are a lot of people with the same skills you have, the same set of skills, but they have published a lot of papers, or they've published 1 or 2 papers which justify their ability, or which shows their ability to be able to publish papers. So it's important for PhD that you have that. I will encourage you to do a publication. But if you're not in the field, assuming you're not in the academic field now, you want to go back and do a PhD, but you're not in the academic field to be able to write a paper or publish it, then do your personal research, just like what I said. Do a personal research, write on a topic of your interest, write it as if you're trying to submit it. Then you can reference lecturers to what you've written so that they will see your ability to research. They will be able to determine your critical thinking and your research ability from that paper you have done. So, does master scholarship require a research proposal too? It does. If it's a research-based scholarship, it does. Even master the funding, it requires personal statement. It requires research proposal. They want to know your intent or your interest. See, that is where you will now see them use this word, letter of intent or interest. That's why they will use that word. Opposed to saying research proposal with PhD, where they expect you to know the field you want to research. So they still need it. When you are applying, read through their requirements, read through their master's program, look at the lecturers that are under that faculty and know their interests to align yourself with one or two lecturers. If you read about their interest and they are researching in something that is similar to what you want to research, you cannot write them and tell them, I'm interested in what you are researching. I want to do something similar or within the same field. It's no lecturer will waste their time reading your work when they are interested in waste management and you're writing them and telling them you're interested in recycling. Okay, no, recycling and waste management is very close because it's still waste management. But assuming it's waste management they're talking about, and you want to go into production, new material production, but they are talking about waste, your interest does not align, so they won't even pay attention to that. Onyi, I think I've spoken with you before, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I have answered this question a couple of times. You can take your kids along with you for your studies, provided you would show their funding. So except is in my own case, or it's changed now anyway, but during our times when we went on Commonwealth scholarships, our families didn't need to show their money, available money for their maintenance, because scholarship could take care of it then. But now scholarship has changed and most of them are focusing on the individual students and their research. So look at that scholarship and see if that scholarship make provisions for your dependent or your dependent, which are your family. If it does, yes, you can take them. If it doesn't, you can still take them, but you need to prove that you will maintain, there is funding available to maintain them while they are with you. If you're not able to prove that, then I'm sorry, the problem you have with the immigration officer is their survival, right? So are we getting another question or do we just wrap up? All right, thank you, Onyi. If it's your first time, thank you. I guess I've answered your question. Are we getting another question? Are we wrapping up? Because the last time we spent a lot of time on the chat. Are we getting another question? Can you just check, please? Or if not, so I can wrap up. With a fully funded scholarship from schools offering, so this is clear from Instagram. I think Instagram viewers are the most active viewers, right? With a fully funded scholarship from schools offering scholarship on admission, do I have to show funds for living for myself? If it's a fully funded scholarship which looks or funds your accommodation, you don't. For myself, I didn't, because my scholarship took care of my travel allowance, my medical needs, my tuition fee, my living allowance, even my conference allowances. So I didn't need anything. All I needed was just pack my bag and get to school. So it depends. You need to know what the scholarship is covering. So what if the lecturer, so Obuefi, again, what if the lecturer has funding for his own research which shares similar interest in you? Can he take a PhD student to work with him? Of course. That is why I told you that your personal statement has to market you, because it will be like an employment. For my supervisor, he has funding from New Zealand government. He has a lot of funding from New Zealand government. And then I remember he does interviews and on Skype and then go through people's CV. Sometimes he could say, Sandra, go through this personal statement and see if it will be moved to another level, right? So if they have the funding, they will do interviews. They will advertise it on their school page and on these websites I've talked about now. Then you can apply. But remember, you need to put in a strong CV and a strong recommendation letter, a strong research interest. So based on their research or their funding, you need to write to show the person that you succeed in that field. Then yes, you can get the funding. So the next question is, okay, I will take this question again, but let me finish taking this one from Muslim. I don't know if I got it right. Oh, this Muslim, I think you're one of my mentee, right? Okay, as a 400 student, still have 500 level to go. When is the best time to start applying for scholarship? This is the best time, right, if you want to leave, because when I wanted to go to UK, I started applying for my studies from my 4th year, right? So I started applying, I started talking to lecturer, I explained to them what I'm doing at the moment. So I gave them my transcripts. But I gave them my transcript of what studies I've done before so that they can see my grades, right? So I started from my 4th year, I could remember. I started from my 1st year and started doing it quietly, understanding the system, because during our time it was difficult. Internet is not readily available like it is now. So yes, starting from your 1st year is not bad, because by the time you get to your 5th year, you'll be having possible offers, or you will be ready with any research interest or purpose of yours. I started in my 4th year, so when I got posted to Kogi for my NYSC, before going to camp, my studies came out, so I left. It depends on you. This will be it for today. In the absence of any other thing, this will be it for today. Remember to follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Dr. Sandra Izichukwu. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more live chat and discussion on migrating to Canada. Next time we'll be looking, this time, our next talk or our next program will be on what people want to hear. We'll be taking what you want to hear. We'll be discussing what you want to hear. So if there is something you're interested in us discussing or talking about, just pop it on our social media handle, and then we'll talk about it. We'll put a date and talk about it. Once again, thank you. Remember that you can ask me questions. Please try to post your questions under any of our posts on our social media handle. It's a lot easier for us to get to the questions. Some people would inbox me the questions. Most times it takes time because we have a lot of inboxes to get to. But if it's on our page, it's a lot easier. We check our page all the time. We make time for that page more. Once again, thank you everyone for joining me on this live chat. I would like to acknowledge my media person in the person of H Black. He's a very good husband, believe me. He's the reason, he's the solid rock behind this production. He is the solid rock behind this Dr. Sandra, after God anyway. God is the first. But the human solid rock we see is H Black. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for believing in me. I wouldn't have done this without you. I want to also thank Campus Hub for partnering with us to ensure that Nigerian students on your platform get this information free. If you don't know about Campus Hub, let me tell you a little bit about them. Campus Hub is a platform for Nigerian students to sell their used items. However, anyone can sell. It's not only Nigerian students, so you can sell as an individual on there, but it has to be a used product anyway. You can sell or buy from their platform. However, it is actually designed for students in mind, Nigerian students in mind, in the sense that you can actually get your roommate from there. If you're looking for a roommate, you can get your accommodation on that platform. You can actually advertise for roommates too on that platform. So if you're a Nigerian student or you have something to sell, head up to their Facebook platform and join them. Once again, thank you and have a wonderful evening. Signing off from here. Bye-bye.